Good morning. Welcome to a celebration, an honoring, and a remembrance of our fallen heroes here in Mashpee. I am so delighted that we can be in person this year to honor our fallen heroes. So welcome to the Mashpee Memorial Day Ceremony 2021. Go ahead and welcome our VFW post.
Good morning, and thank you for showing up on this dreary day. This means a lot, especially after the pandemic of last year. My name is Stephen Coughlin. I'm the Post Commander, Mashpee Memorial Post 5489 of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to please turn and face the Veterans Memorial Garden for the raising of the flag. Those in uniform, attention! Praise it, arms! I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to invite Jesse Rulo to sing our national anthem. Jesse is a Mashpee High School student.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Order, arms! Parade, rest!
I'd like to introduce Rabbi Harold Robinson to offer our invocation.
"77 years and 2 months ago, while the battle at Iwo Jima still continued, the 5th Marine Corps Cemetery, the 5th Marine Division Cemetery, was dedicated, and this eulogy was preached 77 years ago, struggling to give meaning to that war among our many wars. And I offer it as today's invocation as we continue to struggle to live the aspirations of those Marines who perished and who fought at Iwo Jima, that iconic battle in World War II. The eulogy went as follows. Somewhere in this plot of ground, there may lie the man who could have discovered the cure for cancer. Under one of these Christian crosses or beneath a Jewish Star of David, there may now rest a man who was destined to be a great prophet, to find a way, perhaps for all to live in plenty, with poverty and hardship for none. Now they lie here silently in this sacred soil, and we gather to consecrate this earth in their memory. All that we even hope to do is follow their example, to show the same selfless courage in peace that they did in war, to swear that by the grace of God and the stubborn strength and power of human will, their sons, I would add, and daughters, and ours shall never suffer these pains again. These men have done their job well. They have paid the ghastly price of freedom. If that freedom once again be lost, the unforgivable blame will be ours, not theirs. So it is we, the living, who are here, be dedicated and consecrated, first to live together in peace the way they fought together and are buried in this war. Here lie men who loved America because their ancestors have always been on her soil, and others whose generations ago helped in her founding, and still other who loved her with equal passion because they themselves or their fathers and mothers escaped from oppression to our blessed shores. Here lie officers and men of color and white men, rich men and poor together. Here no man prefers another because of his faith or despises him because of his color. Here there are no quotas of how many from each group are admitted or allowed. Among these men, there is no discrimination, no prejudice, no hatred. Theirs is the highest and purest democracy. Any man among us, the living, who fails to understand that will thereby betray those who lie here dead. Whoever us lifts a hand in hate against a brother or thinks himself superior to those who happen to be in the minority makes of this ceremony and of the bloody sacrifice it commemorates an empty, hollow mockery. To this, then, our solemn sacred duty, do we, the living, now dedicate ourselves to the rights of Protestant Catholics, of Jews, of white men, and people of color alike, to enjoy the democracy for which all of these have paid the awful, grim price. Thus do we memorialize those who, who ceased living with us, now live within us. Thus do we consecrate ourselves, the living, to carry the struggle they began. Too much blood has gone into the soil for us to let it lay barren. Too much pain and heartache have fertilized the earth on which we stand. We here solemnly swear, this shall not be in vain. Out of this and from the suffering and sorrow of those who mourn this will come, we promise, the birth of a new freedom for the children of humanity everywhere. And I ask you to say with me, Amen.
Our first guest speaker this morning is Steve Coughlin, commander of the VFW post.
Good morning, and once again, thank you for being here on this day. This past year hasn't been easy, challenging really, as our way of life was changed this past year in difficult and chaotic ways. Our traditional Memorial Day has been set aside and replaced with smaller family gatherings or virtual gatherings altogether. We still hold on to some semblance of what life was and what we know it will return to. But today, And at this moment, we must take pause to remember what today is and what it represents. For countless families across the nation, Memorial Day is a stark and often painful reminder of those who were never afforded the opportunity to be honored as veterans for their service to our country. Their sacrifice is a true expression of selfless service, one that no one would pick for themselves. Whether they volunteered at the time of war, served during peacetime, or never expected to wear our nation's uniform until their draft card arrived, they represent the best America has to offer. We feel their loss roaming the sacred hills of Arlington National Cemetery, Massachusetts National Cemetery, and other final resting places around the world. Too many mothers, fathers, siblings, and children feel the immense weight of seeing an empty chair year-round. For them, Memorial Day brings to the forefront what is always operating in the background. The heroes we remember today are not exclusive to any gender, race, or religion. They are a diverse group wedded to the common principle that America is a nation worth dying for. Our intent today is not to speak of the glory of battle, but rather to reflect on the person behind the deed and remember all of our fallen brothers and sisters in arms for what they really and actually were, people just like us. Memorial Day is a rare day of opportunity to give thanks for all we have been blessed with. Even though the significance of this day becomes at times confused or distorted, and the true meaning lost to commercialism or drowned in forgetful indulgence, it is the one day we have to recognize the magnitude of the accomplishment and the deeds of these brave men and women. So let us take a moment today to honor the memory of the heroes no longer with us and strive to live up to the examples set by such selfless patriots each and every day. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Sherry Peters from the Women's Auxiliary.
Good morning, everyone, and our distinguished guest. We are the Mashpee Memorial Auxiliary, veterans of foreign wars, post 5489. We say that proudly because we're somewhat unique, being tribal native and non-native in the East Coast. I think in the West Coast, they don't have it either. Okay. Each of us are related to our post members and have military relations who have served here and abroad. We are here to support the post, to always make aware of the sacrifice to their country in securing our freedom and also the freedom of the allies of the United States. Remembering the brave men and women of the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard, the Green Berets, Merchant Marines, and now Homeland Security. And I want to add to it is our healthcare workers, our responders in all our towns and in our country that have helped us through this year. And also, we honor the ancestors who fought in the Revolutionary War. So today, if you're fortunate to be in the company of veterans, please thank them for their service. This is the way.
Next, I'd like to invite Carol Sherman, the Chair of the Board of Selectmen for the Town of Mashpee.
Thank you, everyone. Before I read what I wrote today, and after listening to everybody's speeches, Mashpee will never forget our fallen for sure. Welcome and thank you for the gathering today to honor our fallen heroes. Memorial Day is our call to reflect on the principles upon which those brave men and women stood, fought, and died for. Principles of duty, honor, courage, and allegiance. Their sacrifices were made in times of conflict that are part of our country's history. Peace and prosperity endure today because of them. Their voices may be silent, but each time a flag is waved, rings in the heart of this grateful nation. God bless us, Mashpee.
Now I'd like to invite Brigadier General Christopher Foe, who's also the CEO at the Joint Base here on Cape Cod.
Thank you very much. Very well said, ma'am. Rabbi, that was awesome. Very hard to follow someone like that, but thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today, and I'd like to thank my friends from Mashpee for making this event possible during these troubled times. I realize that the restrictions have mostly been lifted, but planning in the COVID world was not easy, and I want to thank you for doing it and getting us all here today. Their flexibility and innovation made it possible to honor the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice and are so deserving of our respect and praise. After the attacks of 9/11, President George W. Bush spoke of the terrorists' inability to dent the steel of the American resolve. Although a very different situation, that tenacity has been demonstrated in every aspect of American society since COVID-19 became a worldwide household phrase. As always, the men and women of our uniformed services have taken the mound and pitched a no-hitter from the word go. And I know it doesn't necessarily fit today's theme, but we cannot forget the unfettered support of our first responders. In addition, the round-the-clock efforts of our healthcare providers, the ingenuity of our educational system, or that previously unrecognized faction of society that put it on the line to ensure that we have food on our tables. Today's heroes may not all be wearing a military uniform, but there is no doubt that they are sacrificing and keeping America strong. Thank you for your dedicated service. In that vein, to me, we separate Memorial Day and Veterans Day for a very distinct reason. On Memorial Day, we honor those that gave everything to preserve the freedoms we hold so dear, while on Veterans Day, we honor those who served. I will tell you, as a senior leader, it is both a duty and an obligation to ensure the vast majority of the people that work with me and for me are recognized on Veterans Day and not Memorial Day. In a nutshell, we do that by ensuring we provide the best available equipment and training, ensuring our servicemen and women have the resources and tools to bring them home alive and in one piece. And if that's the only thing I accomplish in my military career, I would consider it a huge success. So why do I muddy the waters? Frankly, those from the greatest generation are perishing at a rate exponentially greater than expected due to this silent killer. Although their wounds were not inflicted on the battlefield, one could argue that they were generated through enemy contact. But their passing is recognized on Veterans Day, not Memorial Day. I consider it a somewhat blurry distinction, and it saddens me deeply to lose so many heroes in such a short period of time. I'll now focus on the more traditional Memorial Day observance. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And it is those men and women, husbands and wives, fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, all silenced by the horrors of war, which we gather to hear today. Unfortunately, we do not hear their voices, but the memories we call upon to inspire everything we do to ensure this country remains the greatest place on earth. Never forget the ultimate sacrifice paid in support and defense of the Constitution of the United States of America, the international primer for self-governments for and by the people, and the very document that affords each and every one of you the rights and privileges as an American citizen. The Civil War had ended and claimed more lives than any conflict in U.S. history. More Americans in any war to date, and required the establishment of the national cemetery system. By the late 1860s, many communities had set aside a day in spring, not a specific day, just a day in spring, to decorate the graves of the fallen warriors. Originally designated as Decoration Day, on May 5th, 1868, General John A. Logan, leader of the Organization for Northern Civil War Veterans, called for a nationwide day of remembrance later that month and celebrated on 30 May. He chose 30 May because it had no specific battle significance. Nothing happened that day that was recorded, so he wanted to make sure it honored every serviceman and woman equally. It wasn't until 1971 that Congress chose to make it an official federal holiday celebrated on the last Monday in May. I chose the word celebrated carefully for this speech. Many feel this to be a solemn day in which we honor, not celebrate, our fallen heroes. I choose to honor through celebration of lives instead of remembrance of deaths. Much like the words of General George Patton, who said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn men that died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived." Though I believe I would have seen eye to eye with all of General Patton's ideas, we are in lockstep on this one. So join me today in celebrating the lives of those who have made this country the greatest on earth. And let me say that one more time, the greatest place on earth. In closing, I would like to thank the Town of Mashpee and its many veteran support organizations for giving me the opportunity to openly celebrate the lives of my brothers and sisters who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. And since I seem to be quoting those in which I don't have a lot in common with today, I will give you one from Bob Dylan. It says, "A hero is someone who understands that responsibility comes with his freedom." So I simply say to you all, may the God you celebrate bless you, your families and the friends, the United States of America, and most importantly, those who serve. Thank you very much.
I'd like to introduce Chairman of the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe, Brian Whedon.
Good, very well done.
Waniki Suk, Natusawis Mosquita, Nutomas Masipia. Good day, my name is Bearhart and I come from Mashpee. I'm the tribal chairman of the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe. We'd like to thank all of our members and ancestors that have fought for our freedom and are no longer here with us. Most residents who served in the earlier wars were members of the Wampanoag Tribe. All who died in the line of duty during the Revolutionary War were tribal members, as were 3/4 of the Mashpee residents who died during the Civil War. Research shows 65 men from Mashpee, almost all of the members of the tribe, fought in the Revolutionary War, with 14 never returning to their families. In the Revolutionary War, 23 tribal members were in the 1st Barnstable Company and fought in the Battle of Monmouth while fighting in 100-degree heat under the command of General George Washington. They helped keep British soldiers at a standstill. 8 members of the Keeter family from Mashpee fought, with 5 surviving. The 14 tribal members who died during the Revolutionary War were Church Asher, Joseph Asher, Castell Barnett, Moses Job, Elijah Keeter, James Keeter, Joseph Keeter, Samuel Moses, Daniel Pocknett, Jose Pocknett, Joseph Pocknett, Joshua Pocknett, Job Rimmon, and Gideon Tumpum, who all served in the Continental Army. Another Mashpee native, Isaac Wickham, fought in the Battle of Yorktown, the final battle of the war. During the Civil War, tribal members Godfrey and Azariah Brown, who served in the U.S. Army, both died in the line of duty. 4 Mashpee residents also died while serving in World War II, 3 of whom were tribal members. Vernon Haynes, who was killed in the Battle of Okinawa, Ferdinand Lincoln Mills, who was killed on the final day of the war on May 8, 1945, Stephen Peters Jr., who was killed during D-Day, and David Lewis of the Army Corps of Engineers. We also cannot forget tribal member Army Staff Sergeant Alicia A. Burchett, Little Brown Bee, who died on August 9, 2007 during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Let us remember our ancestors who have fought to protect us and our nation on this day. The Mashpee Wampanoag have been at war for over 400 years with the taking of our land, language, and culture, and it is our duty to carry on for the future generations. In our cultural beliefs, the Matumwasus, the women, are the life givers. They plant and they provide life and much more. The men, or Washki Tomp, are the life takers, and it is our job to hunt and provide and protect our families. This is why we have been in every war since the creation of this nation, and before such as King Philip's War, which was one of this country's most devastated conflicts to date. As we come together today to honor our Washki Tomp men, Ka Matumwasus, and women who have sacrificed their lives for our nation, we say Katabatontamawis Wami Natonkwasak. Thank you, all my relations. Let it be.
This time I'd like to invite the Gold Star families to come up, if you would. Thank you. Thank you. Now we're going to read each of the names that are commemorated by stones in our Veterans Garden. I'm going to ask Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts to come and take a rose and prepare for a procession. Alicia Finkley Burchett. Vernon Hayes. David Lewis. Ferdinand Mills. Paul Conlon. Eric Jones. Daniel McGuire. Stephen Peters. Clinton Springer. Alonzo Godfrey. Azariah Brown. Gideon Tumpum. Job Rimmon. Joseph Pocknett. Joshua Pocknett. Hosea Pocknett. Daniel Pocknett. Samuel Moses. Joseph Keeter. James Keeter. Elisha Keeter. Moses Job. Cassell Barnett. Joseph Asher. And Church Asher. You might recognize that there are several more names this year. I know the Historical Commission worked very diligently to add 16 stones. We now have 25 stones that commemorate our fallen heroes all the way back to the Revolutionary War.
Those in uniform, attention! Praise it, arms! Order! Arms! Parade! Rest!
I'd like to invite Rabbi Robinson one more time to offer our benediction.
Eternal and compassionate God, grant perfect peace on the shelter of your presence among the holy and pure, whose radiance is like the heavens, to all the men and women who gave their lives in defense of our country and our land, and for the freedom of the world. Master of mercy, may they find eternal shelter beneath your sheltering wings. May their souls be bound up in the bond of eternal life, together with the righteous souls who stand in your presence. May they rest with honor. May their actions hasten the day when righteousness, peace, and security shall prevail forever. When nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they study war no more. And when the glory of the eternal will be revealed, and all flesh and blood will see it together, the fullness of blissful joy in your presence, and at your right hand forever. And let us say, Amen.
This time I'm going to invite the Gold Star families to proceed over. In just one moment, our Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts will also process. If you'd like to join behind the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, please feel free to do so.